Hey everybody, welcome to Ready Set Drone. Today I have the Hot Wings beginner drone set. It's a little kit that has some obstacles to fly through. It's got a landing pad and it comes with a little beginner drone. So stay tuned and we'll check it out. So if you're anything like me, you probably grew up with Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels were little Hot Wheels and Matchbox. They were two different brands of little cars that were micro size, and I played with my Hot Wheels all the time. Hot Wings, from what I can tell, is a series of different aircraft that are designed to be played with, small ones. It says on the side of the box they have planes, runways, accessories. And so those planes, runways, and accessories are different things you can play with, similar to Hot Wheels, only for airplanes. This one, however, actually flies. This little drone that comes in the package, and it has two rings that are different sizes that you can fly through and a landing pad. So probably geared towards someone who's just starting out or a kid who wants to get into it. It does say ages 14 and up, although I imagine my son, who is younger than 14, could probably handle this pretty easily. But let's see how it is. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up and we'll set it up and we'll test it out. The biggest question here is how good is the actual drone? You know, is the drone itself worthwhile? Because everything else is just kind of a extra. The things that you fly through and the landing pad, those are things that you could always improvise. But okay, so let's pull it out and see what we got. Here is the kit. Looks like these are the rings that you fly through. The instructions look like a top secret mission kind of book. Flight time 4 to 6 minutes, charge times 20 to 40 minutes, and range is 160 feet. So you're not going to go very far with this thing. So it's got a pretty good instruction book, which is good, especially if you're a beginner or a kid and just wanting to learn how to do it. So we'll kind of I think I know most of this stuff, so we'll set that down. Here is the little quad itself. It has a full prop guard all the way around it. It's very lightweight. It looks like it uses a standard battery based on, I think this is called a Dean's connector. I'm pretty sure, this little white guy. So it would be cool if it used a standard battery that was something that I already have some of, because that would mean I could use multiple batteries. Here's the remote control. I imagine this takes a couple of AA batteries, which I'll go get in a second. Let's see what else is in here. Oh, this must be the base that you put the loop in, one of the loops in. Yeah, so it's going to go in this little hole right here and go around. And there's actually, looks like there's 4 of these bases. So perhaps you can actually make 4 different rings to go through, or perhaps each ring takes 2 bases. So there's 4 bases and each ring takes 2. So you're gonna have 1, 2, and that's gonna be 1 ring, and that 1, 3, 4, and that's the other one. And then there's a little accessories package here that has your charger, some spare props, your battery, etc. And as I said, I think the battery is a standard battery. It's one that I've seen on other little drones before, which is nice. I'm not a big fan of proprietary batteries. And so having a standard battery is something that will allow you to find replacements more easily. This is a 1S 450 milliamp hour battery with, like I said, I think it's called a Dean's connector on the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll take all this stuff out here. Oh, and lest I forget, here is the landing pad, which is just a little piece of foam. And it has 2 little notches here on the end that come out, and I imagine you can attach some more foam tracks to it. But it has a H for helipad, I would imagine, where you're going to land the thing. So that's where you're going to take off and land from. So let me go ahead and get the battery on the charger. It does charge via USB, which is right here. This is going to plug into a USB plug. I'll get this charging. It says it takes 40 minutes, I think. And I will also get my AA or AAA batteries and put them in the remote, and then I'll be right back. Okay, just a quick note about the rings here. It comes with this tubing, and what you do is you take the tubing and you push it through these bases like that, and that's what allows it to stand up, which works pretty well. The biggest thing is this tubing is quite a bit longer than you need it to be, which I guess is good because they give you extra. But what you got to do is get a pair of scissors and cut the tubing. Otherwise, it kind of gets all warped. It doesn't really want to go together into a single circle when it's like this full size. This because the way this is bent. So what I'm going to do is cut this thing about probably a third of it off, and then it should go into a better circle. And actually the better way to do it, these pieces on the end are really bent the most, so I'm just going to cut kind of the two end pieces off. And a pair of scissors will do it. Just kind of, these aren't great scissors, but there's one side, and there's the other. And now this will go into a better circle, as you can see. So there's a little piece that goes in the middle. You push this through the hole in this Hot Wings thing. So I'm going to push this through, and if you really want to be fancy, you make sure that the little logo for Hot Wings is on the outside. Doesn't really matter, but makes it just look a little cooler. And then I'm going to put this guy in here. And when you cut it, it gets a little smushed, so you kind of have to round it back out. Put this guy in here. And there we go. Now we have 2 rings for our Hot Wings. And they're both pretty big. The instructions say that you can cut them down as you get better, you know, make them a little smaller to fly through and such. But I think for starting out for this little demonstration, I will go with this size. I don't know if I mentioned there's 4 spare props as well, and it's nice because they're orange and blue, which means that you can orient the craft a little bit better because you'll know, I think the blues must be in front and the oranges are in the back, so you know which direction you're flying. There's no camera or anything on this quad. It's just a line of sight quad. Let's see what size batteries this guy takes. Okay, so putting the AA batteries into the remote, and then attempting to put the remote lid back on. Okay, there it is. Now, just for the record, I did not charge this battery all the way. I probably charged it about 15 minutes. So it may not have quite as long a flight time as it would have with a full charge at 40 minutes or so, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot. Gonna plug it in. Now you wanna have it sitting level so that everything can calibrate. Turn on the remote. Usually the way you bind them is you push the left stick up and then down, and it's bound. So there we go. The cord for the battery kind of gets in the way there. Okay, cool. So I'm guessing this left stick, or this left button up here above the left stick, is 1 beep is low rate, 2 beeps is high rate. I'm guessing this right one is the flip button, and then these are all trim buttons. So you push the throttle all the way up and all the way down to bind it. Yeah, and actually that's better. So just be sure when you plug it in, you have a level. So going through the little hoops. I will say that the prop guard is very handy because it seems to be hitting the hoops a little bit and hitting a few things, but it's not damaging anything because of the prop guard. So I'm glad that's on there. And there we go. There's through the hoops. Now let's try a flip and see how that does. You push the flip button and it goes, and you got to be ready for it. Wow, look at those flips. Okay, I'm getting better at it. Starting to get used to how it flies. All right, one more time through the hoops. Let's hope. There we go. There we go. Starting to get a little better at that. Actually, pretty good practice. Try landing it on the landing pad. There we go. So, some thoughts on this thing. First of all, it's a decent little quad. It's got a lot of power for its size. And for that reason, it's actually kind of hard to fly in a small space. So if you're gonna buy one of these, I would make sure you have a decent sized room to fly in. The room I'm in is a little bit small for it, and there's a low hanging light right above me. So that, you know, is kind of in the way. But if you have a big living room with a vaulted ceiling or a covered patio or something, I think it would be just fine to fly on that. It does great flips. It has 2 rates, high and low, which is nice because you can start off in low, learn how to get comfortable with that, and flip over to high. The rings are more challenging than they look, actually. My first few, I thought I'd be able to do it right away, and my first few times I bumped into the rings and had to practice a bit. So, good practice. Overall, I'd say it's a decent little quad, and the idea of having rings to fly through does make you a better pilot. However, I'd say it is more challenging than it looks. It's, I would not give this to a little kid. I think maybe the age suggestion of 14 is probably a pretty good suggestion, because I don't know that, after doing this, I don't know how well my son would do with this, honestly. He might practice at it a little bit and get better, but at first it's challenging, and so you don't want to start off with a kid who has never flown a quad before and give them one of these, because I think they would get frustrated. But for someone who has flown before, or is a little bit older, or wants to get into racing quads, it's good practice. It's just a good way to develop your line of sight skills. The LEDs are really bright, which is nice. This is the Hot Wings beginner drone. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Would make a nice little gift for someone who wants to get into flying drones. Again, I wouldn't buy it for someone too young, but for a kid who has the patience to sit down and learn to fly a drone, this is a little fun way to do it with the landing gear, or the landing pad, the rings, and the actual quad. And I could imagine if you had 2 of these or 3 of these, you know, if you bought a couple and everybody bound them and you flew through a course, that would make it even more fun. But that's going to require some practice. So, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you want to know more about drones and drone accessories, please subscribe to Ready Set Drone, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.